Alright, I'm still letting copper solvent do its thing in my barrel. So I thought I'd do another video on how I use geoballistics. So, first thing that you got to do when you download geoballistics, which you can do one profile for free, where it says SIG Cross, that's the one profile I'm doing, the one rifle profile. Now I have added different rounds. I used to have 168 grain, but since I'm not using it really anymore, I'm just keeping the 178 grain ELDX in there. So when you have your profile set up, you click the three dots, it opens up this menu, you go to edit, and then you start looking at this stuff. And this is what you get to use to put your features in for that bullet and your velocity and stuff like that. So right now I have Hornady 178 grain ELDX in there. Now you have a search feature with that little, it looks like an icon with a paper and a magnifying glass that allows you to search bullets that are in its inventory. And then you have the other icon to the right. That's how you change the values, such as the bullet weight. So if you wanted to manually enter stuff, I'm just using it as when I chose the Hornady 178 grain ELDX, it added all these bullet values in here, and I'm sticking with them for now. I don't see a reason to change them. All right, down here it has rifle. So I've measured where my sight is, my scope is in relation to the top of my, or to the center of my barrel. There's some method that I looked up where you measure different things like your barrel and then your base and then your scope, objective lens. I forget what I did exactly, but I came out with 3.7. Basically what that's saying is the center line of my barrel and the center line of my scope are 3.7 inches apart. I put my zero range in for today. I have a 1 in 10 barrel. The elevation offset I probably should put in there, and I haven't, because I have an elevation offset of 20 minutes of angle, and I need to look at what that actually means, because I think that's the 20 minute of angle offset with my base. So I need to look into that. My average muzzle velocity when I first started shooting this morning after my zero was 25.66, and I stuck with that for all my dial-ins. But I'm willing to bet, because my muzzle velocity is higher now after 40 rounds, I'm willing to bet that played a role in what some of my calculations were as far as what it told me to dial in, because some of my rounds, the initial dial in was low, but then I would shoot again and it would be okay. So that would have been me and my breathing. But some of them in the past have just been flat out low every shot I took, and then once I raised it, it was okay. I'm willing to bet that that elevation offset has something to do with it, and better data on average velocity speeds. Okay, and then you've got some stuff on what type of optic. Mine's in MRAD, so those values are automatically in there when you click MRAD. And then overlays, this is stuff I don't even use. I don't even use any of this other stuff. And then you have the option to put some notes in there if you want. All right, so there's my profile for the SIG Cross in the 178 grain ELDX. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of things. So this is the main HUD. You see where it says HUD in the upper left hand. Then you have chart, and that talks about your different ranges in 25-yard increments on what it says your velocity should be and what your adjustments should be for elevation, windage, and your energy at different ranges. So that's all helpful information. It also takes into account for different things like your angle and your distances that you're shooting. Then this is kind of a neat feature. It pulls up a map, and it's a pretty accurate map of different things. And then you have this is for targets, something to do with targets. I think you save like target data in there. Okay, let's go back to HUD. This is the main stuff that I use. So the weather data, I like to take the weather data off of whatever the weather is at the time that I'm shooting. I take that off of my just normal iPhone weather data from the app, and I put those in. Now, looking at this right now, I can see that the humidity that I had inputted, the temperature, and so all this weather data when I shot this morning is wrong. The only thing that's right is the altitude. It was cooler, it was around 61 degrees when I shot, the pressure was lower, and the humidity was higher. So I totally forgot to go ahead and change all this stuff. So that would have, might have something to do with some of my shots today too, but most likely most of my issues with my shots have to do with me. You also have the option to connect things like a Kestrel or a weather flow, or you can use online weather data. And my understanding is, see it says select airport. You hit that little arrow thing off on the right, the blue arrow, and it will take data off the nearest airport. Okay, so in here, once everything is squared away, basically all you're going to do is click enter the range, and you enter a value like 200 yards, and it tells me I need to come up 0.3 because I zeroed at 100 yards, so I need to come up 0.3. That's all I really use it for. I don't use a lot of the other features. I just want to know ballpark how many mils I need to come up or down or left or right. That's all I really want to know, and that's all I really use it for. Now, you can click these arrows to do some fine tuning. So that's one way of changing it, but usually I just, type in a value and it tells me what I should dial. I'm still trying to get good with this thing. I know I make mistakes, like this morning I didn't update the weather data, but it definitely gets me pretty close to where I need to be in dialing in dope for my shot placement on a target. So I'll reference this, and then I will also record it in my data book. I like my data book because it's something I used back in the day, and it's a book. Books don't just disappear. That book is always going to be there unless it gets destroyed, whereas my phone can run out of batteries. I can drop it and break it. I can lose my data book too, but it's nice to have both. Quick reference, I'll probably use my phone, but if for some reason everything is failing around me and my book is the only thing I've got, I still have a historical record of my shots with my book. So I will continue to keep data in my book, and that will be my primary. My alternate is geoballistics out in the field. I should actually say the opposite, because I will be using geoballistics, most likely have my phone attached to my tripod so I can connect or I can input values quickly, but I say my book is my primary because I will covet my book. I'd rather lose my phone than lose my book. I can lose my phone and get another one and eventually get back to where I was, but I covet my data book. It's one of the most important parts of my system for my rifle. If I have my book, I always have my data, whether I have batteries or not. So that's how I use geoballistics. Oh, one other feature, down here you can hit the Bluetooth and you can see all the different things that you can connect it to. Now, I haven't connected it to my Razer HD 4000, but apparently I can, and maybe one of these days I will. But that's a list of all the things that you can input on it too. There you go.